Hello, everyone. Welcome to the Attention Please podcast. Now on video. If you like this podcast, kindly like, share, subscribe. You know what to do. So this podcast is being recorded within 24 hours of India being eliminated from the Asia Cup by having lost to Sri Lanka. Now, of course, when I say eliminated, there's still a mathematical possibility that India would qualify for the finals. But the only person who can do that is Amit Shah, of course. This defeat just brought back 2007 World Cup memories, where they wanted an India-Pakistan game and we got a Bangladesh-Ireland game. And again, it's Sri Lanka which is responsible for eliminating India. So more things change, the more things remain the same. Now, for today, I'm going to put on my old man on a park bench hat, because I've been saying this for a long time now. For those of you who follow my podcast regularly, I had a podcast with Jamie Alter where I said, what was the problem with the Indian cricket team? And I'm happy or sad, I don't know, that everything I said came true. But before I start and before I, say how right I was, let's just say that I love my country and I support my team, but you can call me anti-national, but I feel a bit of Schadenfreude that BCCI, which they claim to be a private organization, that they basically lost and that they're not going to get the India-Pakistan game that they were going to make mint money off. So that gives me some happiness, some happiness among all this gum. Now, the BCCI, and this is again not something unique, is ruining the game with their absolute greed, nothing but greed. So one of the things that BCCI likes to say is that they have multiple teams now, because the spiel is there's so much talent that multiple teams can win at any point of time. Well, what happened? This was apparently the best team. No, the BCCI does it so that they have multiple money spinners, so that they can play now multiple series at the same time and make more money. It's like moving from a single-threaded processor to a multi-threaded processor. So, why just have one team playing and making money when we can have multiple teams playing in different venues and making money? So I understand that this is a money-making enterprise and BCCI is a private club, but sometimes I do forget. So the joke's on me. Now, before the game started, I had kind of tweeted a meme that I had made. And I kind of knew, or I kind of anticipated, that India were going to lose to Sri Lanka. Because when I said that India were going to lose to Sri Lanka, somebody had tweeted back that, what are you saying? This Indian team, the team B of this Indian cricket team, basically beat Sri Lanka in a series not so long ago. But that's the point. That wasn't side B. That was basically a much better balanced side than the one that showed up to the cricket field today. So for those of you who haven't followed what I said to Jamie Alter during that previous episode of the podcast, so what I said was that our 1, 2, 3 opening positions are absolutely wrong. The one that played Sri Lanka and Pakistan, these 3 players, Rohit Sharma, KL Rahul, and Virat Kohli, are absolutely the wrong people to be in the slots 1, 2, and 3. So first, let's start with Rohit Sharma. So Rohit Sharma made 80 or something, and so maybe this is not the right day to pile on, but I don't think Rohit Sharma should be in the side. Rohit Sharma was in the original side that won the 2007 T20 World Cup. And T20 is a young man's sport. And I'm trying to put it as politely as possible that Rohit Sharma does not look like an athlete on field. And this might work in Dubai on small grounds, but on larger Australian grounds, the fact that he's really the weakest fielder in the side will be absolutely exposed. So Rohit Sharma, for me, and it's individually and collectively, as I like to say, Rohit Sharma, and then there is KL Rahul. Rohit Sharma, KL Rahul, and Virat Kohli are absolutely similar in terms of their batting styles. All of them are right-handed. All of them have a weakness against the left-handed bowler coming in from the side. And none of them are 360-degree players. So the Indian team that has been winning had some Huda in the top 3. It had Surya Kumar Yadav. Surya Kumar Yadav is coming down at 4. which is one spot lower than he should be. Surya Kumar Yadav's success has always been in Mumbai Indians, has been at number 1 or number 3. That's it. When he was at number 5 and number 6 in KKR, he was a massive failure. So Surya Kumar Yadav is now being set up. He, in my opinion, is the best T20 batsman we have in the country, and he's being set up for failure. He's being set up to bat at a spot which is not the optimal placement for the best player in the team. He should absolutely be in the top 3. He should be facing the first delivery, in my opinion. And he should be opening with a left-hander. And that should have been Pant. We started off by trying Pant as an opener, which I felt was a good thing. We should try Pant as an opener till the T20 World Cup. But somehow we just decided to jettison that and we dropped Pant for the first game. And which brings us to the third batsman, Virat Kohli. Now, Virat Kohli actually played well in this series. Virat Kohli has played well. This was one of the best series that he's had in recent times. And again, today he scored a 0, but that's fine. I don't think he's anywhere close to the Virat Kohli that we know and admire. And I'm afraid that he will never be that batsman. I think we have reached the second stage of Virat Kohli's career in the way Sachin also he was a different player after 2003. So I think we're in that stage of Virat Kohli's career. We'll never be that Virat Kohli of 2016 and 2017, but that remains to be seen. I still think that Virat Kohli deserves a place in the side. I said that again, in something which is being played in Australia, it's very important that you have Virat Kohli in the side. But it's not Rohit Sharma and KL Rahul. That opening combination, it should absolutely be, opening should be, Rohit Sharma should not play. He should not be the captain. Hardik Pandya should be the captain. You need somebody who's young, fit, and hungry to be a captain of a T20 World Cup side. And Dhoni was that in 2007, if you recall. So you need to open with Surya Kumar Yadav and Rishabh Pant. And one down, you could put Virat Kohli. But you have to have 2 players who can play a 360 game and who are right-handed, left-handed to open in this day and age, because that's the only thing which gets the bowlers offline. And then after Virat Kohli, you should have Huda. Huda is coming too late. I mean, Huda is absolutely wasted. And this is exactly what happens to players like Huda. They're the form of their life. They play some amazing games, and then suddenly they're put in the wrong position. They fail twice or thrice, and that's it. He's gone, never to be heard of again. And Huda, even in the IPL, if you remember, Huda's best innings, his best stint has come in as 1 down. When he was batting at number 5, number 6, he lost his franchise. He was that bad. So again, most of the best players play well at the top of the innings. And we are currently giving the top 3 slots, the premium slots, to batsmen, all of whom have their issues. Which brings me to KL Rahul. Now, KL Rahul has come in for a lot of abuse online. And people say he's a stat padder. And I don't really believe that. I think KL Rahul can bat. And he's definitely played well in Australia, if you remember the one-day series. And he can score at a fair clip. It's just that the KL Rahul of 2022 has been out of competitive cricket for a long time. And you just can't take somebody like that and just drop him into the side like that. This is just not the way it works. You have to work your way back into the side. This is the problem, that some of the big players, some of the players who are stars, immediately get back into the team after a long hiatus. And people who have been playing well in those slots as part of the B team have to make way for them. Which brings me to the fact that the team B beat Sri Lanka because that was the best team, because it had the right players playing at the right positions. And it wasn't made to accommodate the 3 superstars at the top. So KL Rahul is just now at this point of time, just doesn't make the first 11 of a T20 game. Now, I'm not saying he doesn't have the ability. That's the difference between me and those who say he's a stat padder. No, I don't think he doesn't have the ability. He can, but not the KL Rahul of 2022. He's just been away for the game for too long. My next problem has been with Ravindra Jadeja. Now, maybe I'm the only person who's saying this, but if you see that Ravindra Jadeja, I think, is put on weight. And this I'm talking about the guy who's undoubtedly, at least in recent memory, the best fielder and the fittest Indian player. even with Kohli. This way fitter than Kohli. It's just an amazing fielder. He just seems listless on the side. Jadeja started out his career as a meme, but over the years, he's an invaluable player in all three formats of the game for India. And he's shown his worth. But whatever problem he's had at Chennai Super Kings, and it's obviously there's some problem there. It's kind of, and I'm speculating, it's kind of leaked out into his game. He just doesn't look to be there. He looks unfit. And he just came off a long injury and then one game and he's back there. And this is not the Jadeja we knew. The Jadeja we knew is like hardy, sturdy, and just an amazing fielder. Who's not that Jadeja. He played a decent game, but again, it was something lacking in Ravindra Jadeja. And I don't know if I'm the only person who's noticing this. And India cannot win games without Ravindra Jadeja. He provides such a vital linchpin of the T20 side. Because of, firstly, his fielding. His fielding is worth 10 runs. He saves 10 runs every game. Second is the left-handed, the kind of bowling he does, the experience he brings, and the fact that he's a left-handed who can bat. He and Hardik. Once you have a fast bowling all-rounder and a spin bowling all-rounder, that means you have two bases covered in the middle order. Without Jadeja, and now the news is Jadeja won't be playing the T20 World Cup. On big Australian grounds, you're not going to have the best fielder. And you'll have Rohit Sharma. Now, the next thing is, why was Hardik Pandya removed? Why was he rested? I just don't understand that. Here's this guy who, by the way, played every game for the Gujarat Titans, right? A few months ago. There's no problem with him. He plays one game and he plays very well. He's at his best. Why would you take out a person? Why would you take a sports person who's in the zone and make him sit? I remember at one point, it was a long time ago, Jeff Boycott. There was some bowler who was bowling a very good spell. And then somebody else came on to bowl. And Jeff Boycott was like, why is he not bowling? And the other commentator says, well, he's been bowling for a while. I think he needs to rest. And Jeff Boycott says, no. If I was bowling like that and I was getting wickets and he was in the midst of a spell of when he took a lot of wickets, then I would snatch the ball away from the captain and say, no, I want to bowl. This is your time. You need to maximize this time. And Hardik, see what happened to him. He played one great game. He sat against Hong Kong. And then when he comes back, he's no longer that player. Because that is what cricket and that's what life is like. When you are in the zone, you need to keep yourself in the zone because you don't know when you'll come out of it. Again, I just don't get it. And the last point is, again, the point that I made with Jamie was that my concerns about Bhuvi. Now, Bhuvaneshwar Kumar definitely has bowled well. People are abusing him left and right today because he basically bowled 2 very bad 19 overs. But the game before he won the game for us, he took 4 wickets. So we should tread lightly on Bhuvi. But the problem with Bhuvi is not so much his performance here. People can have 1 or 2 bad games. But my concern is that he's definitely not your number 1 or number 2 bowler. Number 1 bowler is definitely Bumrah, but he's definitely not your number 2 bowler in a place like Australia. Because he's very good in England. I still think that he should be the second bowler if this World Cup was taking place in England. Because he can swing the ball. Still, he can swing the ball. But at his pace, the pace at which he bowls now, it's very difficult for him. If he doesn't get a purchase in the first 2 or 3 overs, it's very difficult for him to come back consistently at that pace. Because at the very end, the pace at which he bowls with that 130, 135, that's cannon fodder for big hitters. Either you bowl very fast so that, yes, if you get an edge, it goes for 6, but most of the time it's going to hit the stumps. Either you do that or you are very, very crafty, like Bumrah, for instance. And you could see the problem with Bhuvi, that his Yorkers were not hitting. And the reason is, again, the pace at which he bowls. The margin for error is very, very low for somebody at Bhuvi's pace. Sure, he's going to have some great days where he's not going to make any errors. But if he makes even a little error, he's going to get hurt. And that's why I never felt that Bhuvi should be our first choice. And even though I know that Mohammad Shami has bad numbers, I still feel that in Australia, Mohammad Shami, and again, Mohammad Shami has been away from the game. So there's no question of bringing Mohammad Shami back to the T20 World Cup. You need to give players a buffer of games where they know that I have this position and I can play and I can experiment, which is why it's inconceivable why we started opening with Rishabh Pant, which was the best move, I believe. And then we just abandoned that. Why? And then again, there is Rishabh Pant also comes for a fair bit of criticism that he's not good for T20. I don't believe that. I think Rishabh Pant is definitely a once in a generation talent. It's just that he needs to be put in the proper slot. He cannot just bat at any slot and succeed there. So you need to put Rishabh Pant in a place where he can succeed. He's not at T20 that kind of a player. He's not a Kohli at his best that he can just go into any place and score. No, very few people can do that actually. So again, disappointed by the Asia Cup. So I had to record this. But again, what can you say about BCCI? The BCCI's priority is they want an extended season of IPL. They want multiple teams. They don't want their players to play in other leagues because they don't want to dilute their brand. They care for everything else. Their concern is everything else, television rights, but not the simple thing. And again, what I saw, and I may be wrong, and I may be an anguished fan today, but Pakistan, Sri Lanka, they were just more turned on the field. As simple as that. I mean, Pakistan, these players didn't need rest. They developed cramps. They were back in the next game. I mean, Mohammad Rizwan was injured when he was keeping. When he batted, did you see that? No. But Hardik Pandya needed to rest. And he's a guy at peak physical fitness. There's no doubt about that. Why did he need to rest? Pakistan aren't resting. Nobody rested. They didn't rest for the Hong Kong game. They played the exact same 11. See, that shows somebody's intent. India didn't show that intent, I feel. Again, some people, and there are a lot of people who are like habitual supporters of the Indian team. They will say, oh, the toss. No, boss, the toss, a team that wins, that wants to win a championship, it shouldn't matter whether they win the toss or lose the toss. And no, these pitches that we played on right now in Dubai, they were not as bad as the pitches in the T20 World Cup that we batted. Yes, in those places, you lost the toss, you lost the game. But here it's not the case. Yes, definitely there is an advantage for teams that bat second. That there is without any doubt. But it's also not true that batting first is a minefield, or batting second is so easy, or there is so much dew that the ball becomes a cake of soap. So it's essentially anybody who bowls second is going to lose. No, it's not that. It wasn't that in Dubai. So yes, there was definitely an advantage, but it definitely wasn't lose the toss, lose the game kind of a pitch. No, it was a much more sporting pitch than that. I think these pitches were very good. And the games in general were good. It wasn't that the teams walked over India. That's also not true. I mean, let's be dispassionate. Of course, after this rant, you can say I'm not dispassionate. But it's not that India did terribly. But the thing is that, and these were needle games. Again, it could have gone either way. And God knows what would have happened if Arshdeep had taken the catch, for instance. I mean, yes, Bhuvi went for a lot of runs. But again, that includes a dropped catch. And again, in cricket, the main thing is one catch. The new guy comes in. You have no idea what's going to happen. The entire focus, entire rhythm, entire flow changes with one wicket. Because the next guy comes in, there's pressure, there's stress. The new guy has nothing to do. He just has to go from ball one. The game would have changed if Arshdeep had taken that catch. So nobody knows. Again, these things happen in a game. There's no doubt that it does. I'm not going to pile on Arshdeep at this point of time. The problem, again, isn't individual players. The problem is that BCCI is the problem. The BCCI, in their greed, just wants to create different teams. They want to create multi-threaded program. And they're not concentrating on their core talent. They're not concentrating on creating one team with the best players playing at their right spots. They're again, and this is again old as the hills, that superstar players get to choose their slots and the rest of the players have to play around them. And that's what happens with Rohit Sharma, KL Rahul, and Virat Kohli. Virat Kohli at least has earned his, I believe and Virat Kohli is obviously a class above every other batsman. So yes, Virat Kohli perhaps should be given some leeway, especially because the tournament is in Australia. But I, for the life of me, do not know why Rohit Sharma and KL Rahul keep opening and have kept open. Of course, they are going to open in the T20 World Cup. It also doesn't make any sense at this point of time to alter course. It's too late. But we've seen in Asia Cup the systemic problems that India has come out. And it's sad because India has been doing pretty well. But again, there's some places where other teams just step up. And again, I would like to end with saying that Pakistan and Sri Lanka were deserved winners. They played better. Sri Lanka has played brilliantly. Again, their batting has been aggressive. Kushala Mendes has really stepped forward. I mean, he's always been somebody who you felt was going to be great, but he never quite went there. He never quite stepped up. But this is a very different Sri Lankan side than we have seen for many years, and that's very good for the game. And they just wanted to win much more than the Indian side. There's no getting around that fact. In Pakistan also, I mean, the amount of Pakistan, where the kind of injury they got and they came back, and compared that with India, you can see how much more Pakistan is invested in this. And again, I understand that defeats happen. And again, it wasn't a terrible defeat, but India just has to get the right people in the right spots, or we will absolutely keep on losing. That's it for today. Bye-bye.